Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I am back with another episode of Start Before You're Ready. Today, I have an awesome guest that I think you are going to love hearing from. She is my friend, Laura Jones. We met through the Todd Durkin mastermind. She currently lives in Columbia, South Carolina, and she is a trainer. And she's way more than just a trainer. I absolutely love Laura's style. I follow her on Instagram. She's probably the person I get the most inspiration from. She is incredibly innovative, functional, smart, intuitive. I just really love the way I see her training her clients and the way she trains herself. And it shows up in the way she moves and her strength and her physique. She is an incredible trainer, guys. So we are having an incredible opportunity today to learn from Laura. I'm really excited about it. Laura, I want you to go ahead and just introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us how you got into the industry, a little bit about your background. We want to hear all about you.
Sure. Wow. Thank you so much for that very kind introduction. I appreciate you, Kelly. You've been an inspiration to me for a long time. You continually inspire me. So thank you for what you said about me in that regard. But yes, I'm a personal trainer in Columbia, South Carolina. I have had my hand in the fitness industry since 2001. So that's a very long time. I've been married 25 years and we have two kids. We have one that's a senior in college and one that's a senior in high school. But I've been a group fitness instructor, a personal trainer, a strength and conditioning coach, a director of a facility over personal trainers and group fitness. I've done a lot of different things over the past 20 to 25 years, and I absolutely love what I do.
You can tell you love what you do, Laura. That's awesome. So tell us about where you are right now, what types of clients that you're training, and maybe a little bit about your training philosophy.
Sure. I train clients anywhere from college age up into their 60s currently. My oldest client that I've ever had personal training sessions with is in her late 80s. She's amazing. But
wow.
I really like to work with people of all ages. I love working with middle school and high school students in that capacity, specifically. And then I've got a lot of ladies and some gentlemen that I train, but I train everyone like an athlete because that's what I believe that they are. They are athletes.
Yeah.
And so my training philosophy is that we train with a purpose, that I'm helping them to be the best that they can in terms of their performance and their effort and their knowledge and their focus, to make the most of the time that I have with them. And then hopefully building rapport and building relationship with them, I can help them in other areas of their life, whether it's nutrition or spiritual encouragement and support. But I feel like I'm gifted to be able to see the potential in people and draw that out. And hopefully, if they allow me, help build them up and help them to reach their potential.
Yeah, that's awesome. You talked about one of your older clients being one of your favorite clients. Do you have somebody right now that you're training that you really look forward to your sessions with, or do you feel like they've just really progressed in a way that you're really happy about?
Well, I have a number of them. I have clients that, I start out sometimes just working with a client once a week, one session a week. And then they might be on their own and do various things on their own, or maybe they might go to a group fitness class or whatever. But I've got some clients that one session has now led to 3 sessions a week, 2 or 3 sessions a week. And so it's great to be able to train someone 3 sessions a week. And those people are my favorite because obviously you're getting to know them and spending so much time with them. And you have this extended amount of time that you get to help them reach their goal. And that is so encouraging to me. So one of my clients, she was, she played soccer in high school, but it wasn't until really, I think maybe her 30s that she realized that she's a really gifted athlete. Like she is incredibly strong. She is incredibly athletic. And she
Yeah.
didn't come into that until later, until she was introduced to more personal training and group fitness, in which, we train them like they're athletes because they are. And she has really just excelled. She has run half and full marathons. She's competed in the DECA that we hosted. And I probably feature her more than anybody on my stories because I can teach her to do a movement pattern or an exercise or a lift. And she is so quickly textbook. And she takes every rep seriously. She takes her training, her nutrition, her sleep very seriously. And although she was an accountant full time, I mean, I think that her headspace when she has the luxury of time is thinking about training. So she is that perfect model of somebody who, gets into it, likes the idea of fitness, wants to keep her weight down, and then realizes that she is incredibly strong and athletic. And then she begins to love it and crave it. And it just drives her. And then, of course, spills over into other areas of her life. So it's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. I can totally see that. I love when you discover something as an adult, I think, especially kind of like you're mentioning, like you kind of think you have things all figured out. And then you're like, no, wait a minute. This is actually something that I really love. Talk to me about your training, Laura, because you are in phenomenal shape and you look fantastic. And I've worked out with you several times and I'm always like, man, Laura Jones is in good shape. And you're very, I would call you diverse. Like, I mean, you can run, you have great upper body strength. I know you have a gymnastics background, don't you? Yeah. Then you can tell, because there's just a certain skill set that gymnasts have that is really awesome. So talk to us about kind of what you do now or what you've done over the years. I'd love to know personally.
Sure. Yes. Well, so I was born into a family where my dad played college football. My brother developed early and he was very athletic and very good at all the sports. I wasn't so much. I kind of had to find my thing. And it was something that I don't think my dad suspected was my thing. We discovered, but it was competitive cheerleading. So in high school, in order to make the team, to make the squad, you had to have a really high level of gymnastic skills on the floor in order to just be on the team, right, on varsity. And so I made it my goal to develop those gymnastic skills. So a standing back tuck to make the squad. And this is back in the mid 90s. So I worked on that and was able to get on varsity. And because we were competitive, really our entire world, all through the summer, cheering at games, but also going to gymnastics, some of those days, sometimes on the same day, then cheering on the weekend, then competing on Saturdays, basically freshman through senior year, it was a world for me. That was my life. And so that grit and focus really awoke something in me and really helped to develop me as a person, so much so that I thought, this is what I want for myself all of my life. But of course, you graduate from high school and then what? I was fortunate enough to cheer in college 1 year, but I took on so many hours and my dad wanted me in and out of college quickly. And so I decided to put that aside and focus on school. And then right after I graduated, although I didn't get my degree in kinesiology or anything, I did get a group fitness certification and started teaching group fitness and fell in love with that. Started doing Tai Bo to get ready for my wedding day. And that modality really transformed my body and I loved it. And I loved Billy Blanks, which I just got to meet for the first time this past July. But just reminding me like, gosh, this is athletic movement. It reminded me a lot of gymnastics and that kind of thing. It takes a little bit of rhythm. But anyway, so I got certified to teach kickboxing. That was the first thing. And so I taught all throughout, but before, during, and after I had children. And then in 2008 became a certified personal trainer. And in a small town that we had moved to, and just really started to build my clientele up by word of mouth. And shortly after, I had a little bit of a conflict as I was in the training world and focused on fitness. I really did not love the focus solely on aesthetics. What I really loved and what I really felt served me so well in my headspace was what being a competitive cheerleader did for me was I am an athlete. I want to eat, sleep, and train like an athlete. And I want that for my clients. And I met Todd Durkin around that time. And I
Yeah.
also am from Tennessee, and there was a business who's thriving now, but D1 sports performance training had just become a thing back then. And so every time I was in town, I was out there at D1 learning and trying to absorb. And can I help you with a camp? Can I come and just watch? Can I take all the classes? And they, for a couple of years, let me come out there for free because they knew how much I loved it. And it was like going to Disney World when I visited.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I was inspired to go to get certified to become a speed agility quickness trainer. I wasn't going to go back to school for strength and conditioning, but I really wanted to be a little bit more in that world where I was working with athletes a little bit more and knew how to train my clients, like Todd Durkin was already training his clients, which at the time was LaDainian Tomlinson and Drew Brees. I wanted to be like that. And I wanted to bring those skills, those SAC training skills, you call it, into what I was doing for myself and for my clients on a regular basis. So I did that and had the opportunity pretty quickly to work in a contract position with a football team. And so I became the person that came in and worked with them on a weekly basis for a couple of years with this high school football team that needed help with their footwork. So we worked on speed agility quickness training, and that opened the door for me to work with a couple of other high schools. And that opened the door for me to become a strength and conditioning coach at a private school in town. And so I was still doing some personal training my adults like athletes, but then I was also now working with a variety of students, but mostly focused on football and working closely with the football team as a strength and conditioning coach. And I did that for about 4 years. And I absolutely loved my time in that position. And my last year there, we led them to a state championship, and that was back in 2013.
Oh my gosh.
So just, it really reminded me how much I love what I do and how I wanted to continue it. So all of that experience in that position and throughout those years helped to develop kind of my training philosophy that really focuses on mobility, cardiovascular endurance, but then also the HIIT training that, is so popular and has been for a number of years, was something I really believed in, 10, 15 years ago, because I saw what a difference it made for me and for my clients. And so I continue to incorporate that with just the athletic movement patterns that help people to, number one, have more fun, feel like they're mentally a little bit more challenged. Like think about when you're doing ladder work, as you're thinking through that movement, even, cognitively, it is helping you. And you're training your nervous system as you're, hitting those drills as fast as you can. And so, you're training that person, and you have all of these benefits in addition to the traditional strength training. So yes, of course, I'm doing squats, I'm doing lunges, I'm doing chest press, I'm doing shoulder press, and we're pushing, we're pulling, we're hinging, we're squatting, all of those things. But I'm incorporating that with all of the creative things that you probably see me post online.
Yeah. And that really, I'm actually really glad you explained it that way, because that makes a lot of sense. When I watch you, I see all of those things. I see the precision from cheerleading, crisp, strong, powerful movements. And it's interesting that kickboxing was your first, your evolution was very natural. That cheer, which is crisp and precise, went to kickboxing, which is the same kind of flavor. And I see all the agility. I see the function. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And I think it's really important, because what I get, and you said a couple of things that I was nodding profusely at. And one, you talked about the aesthetics, how indefinitely there is that era of aesthetics. And I feel like it's less now, don't you?
I
feel like it's less?
I do in some regard, especially for young women. Well, yeah, I certainly try to focus on it less, but I do think that now I'm seeing women, and I'm seeing them at my gym, which I'm thrilled about. College girls are coming in there. They care about how much they can squat. Like they want to lift heavy, and they want to be strong. And I didn't see that 15 years ago.
No, that's really true. That's really true. And the the other thing that you said about kind of the evolution of training is, I mean, I heard is the fun. Like it's you want your client, if your clients like it, they will keep coming. If they will keep coming, we can get them any results they want. We just need them in front of us, right?
That's right.
So making it fun and making them feel good about what they're doing. I think that's the biggest thing I noticed from the 90s to now. I don't know how many workshops I went, I went to any conference I could. I was like the volunteer, would work, set it up and do all the stuff just so I could go to these conferences because in fact, I didn't have the money. And I remember sometimes feeling really less than at those conferences because it was so technical and some was above my head and it would still be above my head, to be totally honest. It's just not how I think of training. And I love that now I feel like it is just things that make sense. Like, okay, what movements are you trying to do in life? Oh, okay, well, we should do this, this, and that. Right. It's just so much more practical, functional, practical. I really appreciate that.
I agree. And I'm not a modality snob. There are a lot of people that say, you should be doing this and you should be doing it this way. And this is the only right way. And I really think that as long as you're getting some mobility training, some cardiovascular training and some strength training, you are doing pretty darn well. And I really
love that.
Yes. And so I want to learn and absorb what other people are doing and kind of continue to expand what I can offer, the type of training I can offer my clients. And like you said, keep it exciting and engaging and keep them coming back, because if they aren't showing up, then you have nothing to work with. And it is such a gift to be able to create a place, an environment where people want to come, where they feel seen and respected, and you bring out the best in them and you connect them with other people, as I see you do in such a beautiful way. It's just a gift. And whatever, I need to do to continue that for my clients, I want to do it.
I think that's so good. I've never heard the term modality snob, but I love it. That is so, and I feel the same way. Because I feel like a lot community, sometimes people are like, I just want to focus on strength. I'm like, well, you need cardio.
Right.
People get like, or I'm at this stage of life, I just need to do that. Well, no, actually, it is interesting. I mean, I like diversification. I like diversification in anything in life. I think you can't go wrong if you're being practical and diverse in your training. And I totally agree that there's also something really real that I've seen maybe some of the modality snobs have, which is called burnout. And they're doing the same thing over and over again for so long. And there's only so many ways where they don't seem as excited about what they're doing as you do.
That's right.
I think there's something to be said for that. There's something when your trainer is excited and they are lit up about what they're about to present to you, it's exciting versus you can tell the clipboard and let's do 8 lunges and it's just a different scenario. So that's awesome. I did want to talk a little bit, Laura, because actually I remembered as you were talking when I probably should have said this in the beginning, but Laura and I were part of a collaborative book and we were both authors in this collaborative book, and her chapter was really interesting to me. I remember reading it and being like, oh my gosh, yes, I agree with this so much. It was about the sportification of fitness. Can you talk a little bit about that, Laura?
Sure. Well, I really believe that, we're already seeing with like High Rocks and DECA and the challenges, the successful challenge. And I chose to highlight your gym because your establishment, because you do such a great job with your competitive events, your challenges to keep your people engaged and competing with each other and really competing with themselves. But I really believe that is, if we want people to become fit and stay fit long term, the more that we can convince them and help them to buy into the fact that they're an athlete and compete however you want to set that up with themselves to get better and have a growth mindset, we're going to have them for life. I mean, whether they're our clients or they're working out on their own, we want people this is a lifestyle. And I believe that if you can create kind of a venue or experience for people in which you can help them see the benefits and the joy and the privilege it is to be able to focus on getting better physically. If you can do that for people, as you know, the lights come on, the switch is flipped, and people's lives change once that occurs. And so, whether it's, like I said, a DecaFit or High Rocks or an event at your local establishment, at your gym, whatever it takes to get people excited about getting better and not just looking at the scale and not just looking in the mirror, but wanting to work harder, to be stronger, to be consistent and faithful and show up. You're doing people a service if you're helping them achieve that.
Yes, I totally agree. And I'll be honest, we don't do it as much as we did when I first started. When I first started, I felt like every week, they would have told you every week's an assessment. They'd be whispering in the grocery stores, is Kaylee going to do an assessment tomorrow? And I had a plethora of them, from a time mile to 4 corners, which was you'd perform different exercises at every corner. That was a big part of my training philosophy. And then I kind of heard from people, well, I don't want to go on those days because my knee hurts. Or it became like people, it was almost detracting people. So I moved away from it, and now I do it a little bit more sparingly, and I do it a little bit differently. Everything, first of all, I never compared people. I never said, oh, who did the most laps or who got the fastest time. It was always, what did you get last time? What did you get this time?
Oh, yeah.
Who did it the most number of times? That was another award. Oh, this person's done this assessment 10 times. Let's acknowledge that, like the grit and the consistency. But just a couple of weeks ago, I got out. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it was called Fit Ranks. Fit Ranks. So it was Nick Ryan's. He had a military background. He created this series of exercises, somewhat like the military. I mean, different than the military, but it was like you needed to be able to do 50 kettlebell swings in 2 minutes and bear crawl for a minute, like all these different things. But he created a workbook where there was different ages and different metrics. And we did it in my community. I really enjoyed it. And we did it in my community for a while, but I brought it back out to the guys at my dude camp the other day. They flew through it. I'm not going to lie. They threw it because a lot of it, especially the conditioning, as they get into and we did a low level. As we get into the higher levels, some of the strength is really challenging. But my people are good at conditioning because that's what we do. We do so much conditioning. That's just, I like to go. I like that style of training. That's just what, speaks to me. So the people that come to my classes probably tend to like that a little bit more, but they really liked it. I mean, it was interesting. And also it was an opportunity because when we got to the end, they had to do a 2-minute hip bridge, which they were fine with. And then they had to do a 90-second plank. And after the hip bridge, the planks weren't so pretty. So some of my guys need to work. I'm like, this is great, guys. I'm like, now you have something, next time when you do the 90-second plank, you're going to be psyched. It's going to feel really good. Like this is something now every time you're doing a plank, you're more focused, right? Like this is not just like an exercise. This is something that you're training for. So I really like and appreciate that. I think that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about our mastermind that we're both in together, because that is actually how we first met. You were talking, I was just talking about dude camp, and I remember we were both part of the master, or maybe you were getting involved in the mastermind, and I had talked about my dude camp or shared my dude camp, and you private messaged me during a Zoom call, and you're like, can we talk about, I'd love to hear more about that. And we got on a phone call, and that was our first connection. Every time I go to a retreat, I'm sure my community's seen pictures of you and I together. Laura is my person. I love hanging out with her. We always find each other, work out together, and just really talk about our businesses and how we're trying to grow and how we're trying to evolve. I've seen Laura go through some different chapters. She was previously, before she was training, she was working directly for a school, and she's done a lot of coaching, and she's done a lot of things. And I, being big sister that I am, told her, You're a trainer. You need to be back in front. You need to be in front of clients. That's what your gift is. Because when you're a trainer, you're so much more than that, right? I mean, she's a motivator. She lifts people up and she cheers for people, and she's just the kind of person that you want in your ear. Tell the audience a little bit about your relationship with the mastermind and just how it's been serving you as a fitness professional.
Sure. And I met Todd back in, I think, 2009, 2010. And like I said earlier, and I'm sure you had the same experience, listening to his teaching and his coaching and his presentation and then doing the workout, immediately I knew this is a person that I want to stay connected to, and really just felt, just a great desire to be more like that energy, that fire that he had as he was coaching even us in, his class. So I did follow him a little bit. There wasn't much going on with social media at that point. I remember when I was helping coach football, I rarely fall asleep on the couch, but one night I fell asleep on the couch. This was probably 2012, 2013. And I woke up at like 3 a.m. with Todd doing an infomercial. And I was like, oh my gosh, what in the world is he up to now? He was doing an infomercial for, I can't even remember what piece of equipment it was, but I thought, I always knew he was going places. Anyway, so it wasn't until COVID and that I rediscovered his podcast. And then during COVID, when everything was shut down, I personally was doing more training online and in the studio than I had ever done before, because a lot of my clients could not go to work, but they sure could come work out. And our setup, we were doing it legally, but we were carrying a lot of weight, and we were helping a lot of people stay positive, and we were a source of hope for a lot of people. And that's really what Todd was during that time for me, with his Good News Network every single day during the week. And so I realized at that point, I was also over all of group fitness at that time and over all of personal training at the studio I was working at, in addition to training a ton of clients and being on my feet. I was exhausted, and I had my children at home helping educate them. But there was no off time. It was obviously very stressful, but I realized what a lifeline of encouragement he provided for me. And then very quickly saw people like you, and Jill, and so many other, Amanda, leading people in the same position that I was in. And just, I knew I absolutely needed this regular connection and lifeline through the mastermind. That's when I joined the mastermind and have been involved ever since. And I'm very grateful. Still consider it a lifeline, whether it's a retreat or just an online meeting. It's always something that fills my tank, and it's a necessity.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's really important, because what you do as a trainer and a coach is you pour into people. We love it. It lights us up, but it can be exhausting. And sometimes you need to get filled back up, just like you said. So having a community, having Todd and other like-minded fitness professionals, that fire-breathing dragons is the absolute right word for them, because they will literally blow fire in your face and get you excited about what you do. I consider being part of the mastermind a gift to my community. And that was an evolution for me, because I am very, I don't know, maybe the word is, I don't want to use resources for myself. I want to do, I like to be for others. And I very quickly realized I was not going to be able to grow my community. I was not going to be able to be the kind of leader that I wanted to be all the time unless I continued to get filled up. So it was really life-changing for me. And the friendships and the inspiration from other trainers and other fitness businesses and just what they do, it's so great. I assume every industry has something like this, where people can connect. And if they do, I encourage everyone that's listening to be a part of it. And of course, even just a mom's group or a church group or something where you're a part of something that fills you up. It's just so important. And we've definitely benefited so much from being a part of a mastermind. A mastermind is the perfect word for it because we really do learn from each other. It also elevates our communities, right? Because we see some things in other, So it really allows us to take our community to the next level. And I also love the idea of, from San Diego to Redlands, California, to South Carolina. We got masterminders in Texas, masterminders in all over. I love the idea that we're like uniting together to help people. I think it's just really powerful. So it really is an awesome group. It is powerful. I know. I can't wait. I'm trying to think of when we're going to see each other next. So Laura, tell us a little bit about what you're really encouraging your clients outside of maybe the workouts. I know you have I love your philosophy. I've kind of gotten a bit of it, just like your nutrition philosophy and your kind of life philosophy. Can you share a little bit about that? Because I think that's really inspiring.
Sure. Well, nutrition, I really like to focus on the positive and what you should be eating and could be eating versus not what you should not be eating. And I really help, especially women, focus on getting enough protein, and rather than necessarily counting calories, really focusing on grams of protein per day and making sure they get enough in that regard, and that they're getting enough fiber, and that they're getting enough so that would almost naturally decrease the amount of processed foods or extra carbohydrates and sugar that they would normally get. And so it really does take some creativity to get all the protein that we need in the day. And so a lot of times we're troubleshooting and trying to figure out how we can make that happen. Right now, I'm looking at a few of my clients' kind of food logs and just looking through, okay, well, what if we could take that out and replace that with this? Or, and looking, are you actually getting enough versus we're just cutting things out and your life is going to be boring and sad now. But thinking about like, what can we actually eat that's really good that you thought was off limits, but no, you can enjoy it. So I'm all about not leaving a void of negativity, but really focusing on the positive aspects and the shifts that you can make with your nutrition so that you have more energy, better sleep, and that the kind of residual effect is that you're losing that extra little bit of body fat that you really want to lose. So with nutrition, we focus on that.
Yeah. And what I've seen on your social media that appealed to me in particular is you're like, hey, you don't have to be perfect, right? Like if Taco Bell is your favorite thing, we're going to find a way to put that in there.
That's right.
That's great, Laura, because if that's their favorite thing, they shouldn't eliminate it. There's nothing that's off limits. I really like that. And I think that so many trainers have that, strict, like, oh, I don't want Laura to see me. No, you planned for that. You figured that out. That's great. Good for you. Enjoy it. I like the idea of enjoying things and not feeling bad about if you're working hard most of the time to get the right nutrients, to get the protein, to get the fiber, to do the things, and then you want to have fill in the blank. Go for it. Great. Enjoy it. Enjoy. Right. That's my thing. Enjoy it. Don't put negative emotions around whatever that thing that you think you're eating is bad. That is something that you planned for. That is delicious. That is wonderful. That's your favorite thing. That's a positive.
Exactly.
Don't eat it every day.
But yes, intentionality about, so intentionality, just like that athlete's mindset, you're training like an athlete, but you're also fueling like an athlete. So you're thinking about how am I going to have the best workouts, have the best energy throughout the week, be able to be the person God has created me to be, called me to be for my family, for everyone else in my life by the way that I eat. And so, of course, we leave room for cheat days or a cheat meal. But as you were saying, those things are intentional and you are just being conscious and intentional and planning a little bit better and cleaning up in areas that, you should, because there's a purpose. And that's the thing for me is you have to know your why and remember your why as things get hard, because almost immediately when you're cutting things out or when you're shifting things, things are going to be uncomfortable and challenging. But if you remember the reason that you are worth the work, that the people you love are worth the work, and that it's not, hopefully for this person, just an aesthetics thing, but it's truly trying to live a full, vibrant life with purpose and energy and focus and intention. And so if that's the person I want to be, I want my nutrition to line up with those goals. And
Yes.
so it's not just about how you look in a bikini. And so hopefully, that is helping my clients make those long-term changes and not just have, these short-term diets, and makes a real difference.
I think everybody appreciates that. And I think that anyone that's been in the industry for as long as you, I mean, you've been involved in some capacity for 25 years, you know what you're doing. You know that quick fix and what doesn't,
We've seen things come and go, right? We've seen the trends. I feel like we've seen it, just about all of it. And I don't know if I'm still in the middle-aged category, almost 50 years old. And so also, I am also a middle-class person. And so I am mindful of budgets as well.
Yeah.
So that's why probably the main reason you saw my Taco Bell post. But
no, I'm too. I think that's important, especially now. Food is so expensive. It's hard to tell people, listen, you need to eat. Yeah, that's not going to, I mean, I spend $500 a week at the grocery store. Not everybody can do that.
Right.
That's
not
a lot
everybody
of money.
can. Not everybody can order the latest, protein hack or whatever. So I do advise, I try to be very, very practical in my advice as well.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I think people appreciate that. And there's a reason we talked a little bit in the beginning about your client load right now and you're kind of maxed out. There's a reason. There's a reason people want to be around you and spend their money with you. It's because you're the real deal and you're actually going to move their health in the right direction. And you're not going to make them feel bad about themselves. You're going to lift them up. You're going to encourage them and make them better, whatever that means for them. A lot of people, they might not care about the assessments that we find so exciting. They just want to be able to get out of the chair. Or,
right.
be able to do a full body push-up. I love that your cat just trained. Is that your cat? That's awesome. So I do think that it's really important. And one of the things that I have not put a lot of effort and energy into, but I'm really passionate about, is the future of fitness and the future trainers. And I hope that other young people, like when they're in situations where we both started really right out of college, and I hope that they see the potential in this industry, because it's so much more than sets and reps. Whether you're working as a trainer or you're a business, you own a brick and mortar, whatever, there's so much more to it and there's so much possibility. And here's two people right here that have done it for a really long time and still love it. Right, Laura?
That's right. And feel like it's one of the most important jobs on earth, really.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I feel like it's one of the most important jobs on earth, pouring into other people and helping them with their health. Laura, if there was one piece of advice, okay, that you could give our audience, well, you know what? One thing I didn't ask you, a very important question with this podcast, I forgot to ask you a time in your life when you started before you're ready.
Okay, absolutely. There are so many times like this, and I have to remember that these are the best experiences. So one time when I had just started, I mentioned before that I got my certification to be a speed, agility, and quickness trainer. I was already a gymnastics coach, and I really wanted to work with serious athletes, and I wanted to work with a team, whether it be male or female, but I really did want to have the experience of working with a football team. And of course, I did not play football, but I did not know how I would get my first opportunity. I was in a town in which I did not grow up, so I didn't know a lot of people. But providentially, the gymnastics center that I was coaching at, there was a local football coach that called this gymnastics/dance center and said, he had read an article about how some linemen, some professional pro athletes, football players, some linemen had taken dance class and maybe specifically ballet. So he wanted to know if they had a dance instructor that could come work with their linemen. And the owner said, well, I don't have a dance instructor that I could send out to your high school, but I do have a woman who's a speed, agility, quickness trainer. And that's specifically what she does, is work with footwork and coordination and obviously speed. And so I got the call that they wanted me to come out to Lakewood High School and work with their team. And I got very little information except that I was going to be working with the linemen and that the coach would be there. And so, and if you've worked with coaches at all, especially male coaches, you get the information, you're on a need to know basis most of the time. And so you just have to go with it. You just have to go with it. Similar to working with Todd on things. So you just have to go with it. Right? I mean, this is my experience for the past 15 years. So I show up with my boombox at the time and pull into the parking lot, and here come these big dudes to help me find the gym. And I end up walking into the weight room, and there are 60 football players, and the coach goes, all right, they're yours. And so,
not just the lineman, huh?
Apparently he didn't want me to just work with the linemen. And I mean, immediately it was like I was right at the cusp of something, and I just took a deep breath and I walked in it. And I mean, I thanked God, and then I walked in it and hit play on my music, and we started doing, footwork and stuff. And it was just their respect for me and their response to the training with a little bit of guidance from their coach was incredible. I just thought, that was a gift that was handed to me. That was a door that was open to me, that I could not have manipulated those circumstances. But I knew when the door opened, if I just showed up. And that's so much about life, is just show up. And so much of the time, you are already prepared to do the thing which you have been called to do. You just have to be brave. I remind myself that God is with me, and that it's not even about me. It's about the people that I'm showing up to serve. And so, that was a great experience for me, and a great reminder on a regular basis that just showing up, not necessarily feeling prepared, not knowing what to expect, is an adventure, and it's always worth taking the risk.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like what you said. It's not about me. It's about the people I'm here to serve. That was really, really beautiful. Now, go ahead and give us your one tip that you want to share with the audience. So if it could be fitness, it could be nutrition, it could be life. One little Laura tip, because I know it's going to be a good one.
Well, big picture, you have to believe that whatever sacrifice that you're making or work that you're doing on yourself, you are worth it. You have to believe that you are worth the work, that your life matters. Because if essentially you don't believe that, you're going to give up. But let me tell you, you matter. The work that you do on yourself to develop yourself matters. It makes a difference. You have the ability to change the world. And so come into and continue on your journey of fitness, knowing that it is worth it. You are worth it. And that, that purpose, being a better person, developing yourself in that regard, and disciplining yourself so that you can live a full and vibrant life, is really what matters. And so I think it's just important when things get hard and you don't want to show up to the class, or you don't want to be disciplined about what you're eating, or you don't want to set that alarm to show up at 5:30 a.m. the next morning, that remember your reason. You are worth it, and your worth there is invaluable, and just stay with it. Keep remembering you're worth it, and that you matter.
That is the best advice. And I do think that that's a hang up for people. I do think that that is where people fall off. And that is probably something I don't think enough about. Actually, I'm really glad you used that as an example, because it is more than just muscling your way through. You have to truly believe that it has value, and that you have value, and that you're worth the investment. You're worth the time. That's really, really good, Laura.
Yes. And
that's why you're such a great trainer.
Thank you.
That's why.
But, as I've had friends who are, recovering addicts and have had experiences in which, the odds were really against them, training and fitness has been a tool that they would tell you has absolutely rescued them. Those are extreme examples, but I believe that training and fitness is a tool and a gift from God that really does. It's a grace to us and a gift to us that rescues us and brings us into our fuller purpose and calling.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful and true. I love it. Laura, I loved talking to you so much, and I'm so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule to connect with the Start Before You're Ready community. And I am also very grateful for your friendship. I know that I could call you or text you at any time with any problem, and you would be right there for me. And that just feels really good to have a friend that knows the industry, knows me, knows how much we put into what we do and how much we care, that has that connection. So thank you, Laura. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Kelly. And thank you. You are a gift to your community. I believe that your community knows that, but you are such a gift. You're a gift to the mastermind, and you're a gift to me as a friend. You inspire me on a regular basis, and I'm so blessed to know you. Thanks for your friendship.
Laura. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.